Jeff, it's great to see you. Just tell us how the last 6.5 years have been since Jade died for your two boys.
For the lads, obviously, you go through stages in bereavement, and when you're 5 or 4 years old, as they were, and you've lost your mum, obviously the first couple of months were a little bit just trying to work out where the floor was, and then you go through a strange period actually, which most people would not expect to, and that's where it feels like, hold on, are we getting away with this? It's almost like it hasn't really hit them. Does that mean that it's not going to hit them? Maybe this is as bad as it gets. And then I just remember after 10 months, I had the worst possible 6 months because they really were all over the place. Their behaviour was erratic. It was just completely playing havoc with their sense of themselves, with their sense of what they could trust and what they could believe in. And it was a particularly difficult time. And ever since then, really, it's just gone in waves. So you can have a couple of months of feeling like they're normal and they're getting on with it and they're doing quite well. And then you might have 2 weeks where, again, they're sort of lost. And you can sometimes just see it in their face, in their complexion, that they're grieving. It just sort of comes around and just affects everything about them. But
you've learned some really important lessons about it that you want to share during Children's Grief Awareness Week, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of mistakes that people will forgivably and typically make. For starters, with a parent, I think we're their guide. And if, I didn't lose Jade as such, she wasn't my partner. So I was able to, fortunately, just focus on the children. But if you are someone who's lost a partner, I think in the early stages, it's always good to recognise that you are going to have a few months where you can't be all in everything. And you have to give yourself the time to react and to adapt, really, to your new situation, ultimately, without that person that you've lost. You can't get over grief. Your children, they're not going to get over it. But what you have to help them to do, as you would with yourself as well, is to manage it. To share everything is to release and relieve, and that's far more helpful to someone as opposed to doing what people used to do typically and still do, and that's bottle things up.
And just briefly, and I know you want to celebrate Jade, the boy's mum, rather than, like you say, have that sort of pensive moment. You have Mummy Day every month, right? Right.
So grief will very often dictate itself to you being the person who has lost someone. What you can do is actually construct a day per month. For us, it's the 15th. It's not the 15th for any particular reason, but that's Mummy's Day every month. So we're dictating ourselves to it, and it becomes almost like a day that we look forward to, because on that day, we know that we're going to go and do something in Mum's memory. It might be that we go and have the Jade Goody bowling sort of trophy, and it makes it more about remembering positively instead of being so hurt about what we've lost, which there will always be a time for. But it's a much more constructive and, to be honest, a much more technical way of dealing with grief. But that's what I've had to try and find so that they go from where they were at to the best possible place that they can be, really.
It's great to hear you talking about it, Jeff, and I think a lot of people feel the same way watching. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
That was Jeff Brazier talking to me yesterday, and if you want to find out more about dealing with child bereavement, you can visit the charity Grief Encounters website. The address is on the screen right now.